Hello, friends. Okay. Pins a comment. And it's done. Hi, guys.
Hi, y'all.
Just wait for some folks to join us here, popping in. Hi. Babe, can you, here, I just want to make sure you're right in there. Okay. Yeah, there you go. Get closer to me.
Hi.
Ooh. Hi. Oh my gosh. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We're so happy to have you here. Welcome to Between Two Nerds. We are sponsored by nerdsvote.com. We are your little chat hour twice a week, getting the lowdown from some of your favorite notable nerds. We're part of nerdsvote.com, which is also your resource for voter education and information. So we'll be mixing it up. Today. A couple things. We have well, first of all, I'm Courtenay Taylor, and this is
JP Karliak.
And we're here to drop some knowledge just before we get started with our guest. Just like that. We have a Bethesda giveaway. So follow us on social media and check it out because it ends on the 25th and we have a nice big fat box of Bethesda swag to send to you. So please go ahead and rock with us. I'm going to cut right to the chase. Today we have an amazing guest, Kirsten Vangsness, from all kinds of things, Criminal Minds, Dave Made a Maze, Kill Me Deadly, and of course the amazing radio production of
Awesome podcast.
Yeah. So we're just waiting for her to join us. There she is.
Hi.
That might have been the most efficient join ever.
I was impressed with you. I was there, and then you guys were there. That's exciting.
I know, and you were so quick. I mean, and you didn't try and log on a computer. I love you so much.
I know what I'm doing. It's called Nerds Who Vote. We're not going to mess around.
That's right. That's right. Thank you so much for coming on the show. We're so happy to have you.
Thank you for having me.
How are you doing?
I'm, for the pandemic and the revolution that's happening, right?
Right.
I'm doing really well. I co-own a distillery and we pivoted to making hand sanitizer. And, I've spent a lot of time giving hand sanitizer to nonprofits and Black Lives Matter marchers and doing all that. And so it's good to feel purposeful at a time when we feel really powerless. And I'm very excited that it's voting season. Because I really think that when
voting season, baby.
It is voting season. You got to get out there and do it. Get all your paperwork out.
I know. And seriously, guys, if you're voting by mail, get those ballots in. I'm getting mine in today.
Now.
Yeah.
It's so important. You got to get the
today
ballots
is the
back.
day.
Yes.
I put mine in a box. That sounds sexy. Voting is so sexy. I put my vote.
Hopefully, it was the box that didn't burn.
No, it was what was cool about it was the box. Put it in the box, and then got to go to the ballot tracks, and then it said we got your ballot and it's counted.
It's like delivering a pizza, but it's better than getting a pizza. You're delivering your vote.
Fucking democracy.
That's what I'm talking about. You know what? That's our new T-shirt. Nerds vote. Fucking democracy.
There it is.
Yes, voting is sexy. Guys, if you have questions for our lovely guest, please make sure that you just pop them in the little question. It used to be a little box, but now it's like a little
speech bubble.
A little speech bubble. Thank you so much. We will be talking today, if you are just joining us, we are Nerds Vote. We are Between Two Nerds, which is a little offshoot of our nerdsvote.com website. And we bring fabulous, notable nerds like this amazing lady. Let me make sure it's Kirsten Vangsness. Am I getting it right?
You're nailing it.
Okay, great.
You're not afraid of two consonants sitting next to each other.
I'm a little afraid, but you know what?
But you're going for it.
Today, So yeah,
A lot of times people chicken out. Yeah, people chicken out at that GNS, and they're like, "I can't do it," and you did it.
They just say, "Please welcome Kirsten Vangsness."
Yeah, our
Exactly.
girl. And you can ask her questions. We're gonna be talking about voting. We're gonna be talking about a little food. We're gonna be talking about that distillery, which is very important because I need to know all about that.
I'm so mad because my partner teaches in Santa Ana, and I just found out about the distillery, and I'm like, "Oh, nuts! We can't go to it right now because, well, he's teaching from home because."
Yeah. What did you distill? Here's my question. What exactly were you distilling before the hand sanitizer?
We distill vodka. We started as vodka is very quick to make. It takes about 2 weeks. So
in your bathtub.
vodka. Yes, that's right. We actually have a beautiful, if you go to the Blinking Owl Distillery website, you'll see our still. It's named Bastion Penelope Cocoa Frigalicious. It's named after our rescue pets, but our spirits don't taste like it. And it looks like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. It's huge. And so when you're sitting at the bar, you can stare at it. It's glorious. And we make an orange vodka. We're all organic, California. We take care of the farmers. We take care of the land. We're very environmentally conscious. So we make an orange vodka where we soak 150 pounds of oranges in the vodka. So it's like an orange took you on a date, put on some Maxwell, and is a really good kisser.
Yes.
It's like the peel, the pith, the whole thing, not essential oil orange.
Right.
Yeah.
Real deal.
And we make
like limoncello, but like orange instead of lemons.
Without it being sweet. Similar, but take all the sweetness out. So it's vodka with just this orange, like makeout sesh on top of it.
Nice.
Love it.
Yeah, and then we make gin. We make a California gin, which means it's not as junipery, which is the foresty
So it's
stuff,
not like
right?
you're sucking on a Christmas tree.
When there's nothing wrong with sucking on a Christmas tree, as we all know.
It's the holidays.
Yeah. That's a euphemism.
Mm-hmm.
There's also nothing wrong with eating out a clam. Both things.
This is true.
Because it's the holidays.
Hi.
We also make aquavit.
Yes.
Which is a Scandinavian thing that's very herbaceous. And then we make bourbon.
It's delicious.
Yes, it's amazing. We make bourbon and rye that is incredible. Santa Ana is built to make bourbon because it gets cold at night and it's really hot during the day. So those barrels expand and contract, and it is amazing.
What got you so fired up? I mean, like, this is obviously you're like deep into this, and like,
yeah, because we'll talk about a nerd thing. It's super sciencey. It's super like in so many different ways. And more science, my dear friend was a pelvic floor physical therapist. I did not know her. I had to go to a pelvic floor physical therapist, which is where a woman who learned about some science, sticks her fingers in your vagina to make it work better.
Wow.
That's a thing.
Can anyone do this? Or do you have to get a prescription?
No, I think you actually have to have a degree to call it medical. And
I meant go there to work on it.
Oh,
it better.
Anybody can
Not
go.
To actually...
Yeah, anybody can go. But people go when they have like, cancer, or they had sexual trauma or whatever. So I didn't know her. We hit it off. I couldn't afford her. This is a starving artist days. And I was like, I shouldn't even be here right now. And she said, well, and I told her I did theater and I was charging $10 a ticket for this play I had written. And she said, just come back and give me tickets to your play. And I did. And we like hit it off. And then, did I freeze? Oh, you guys are there.
No.
I just saw the little ball spinning. And then I got this fancy day job, right? I got Criminal Minds, and we've just been great friends. And then like 6 years ago, she was like, me and Brian want to open a distillery. And I remember I just read about how Rupert Grint, who plays Ron Weasley in Harry Potter, had used his money to get a didgeridoo and learn how to play the didgeridoo, and he had a hovercraft. And I thought, you know what? I play the clarinet, so that's my didgeridoo. But the distillery can be my hovercraft. So I was like, fuck yeah. And it makes so much sense because she helped me, you know, with this thing when I had nothing, no money, no nothing. And it just was and I'm so happy to do it. It's such a joy. It's so much fun. We get to give so much booze to like nonprofit things and stuff, and people get to come there and drink. And it's a real joy. And, you know, it's one thing when you're at a party and you're like, I'm an actor, you know, it's another thing when you're like, I own a distillery. Like,
all of a sudden people are like knocking over tables and stuff and like,
it's just a fun thing.
Yeah.
It's a fun thing to talk about. Yeah.
It's so much better than saying you're an actor because that just sucks all of the air out of the room.
I know. You're like, who isn't? You know what I mean? It gives you something else. Yeah.
You're welcome. Yes. That's why we started Nerds Vote, because we were like, hey, let's talk about something else.
I was at a Democratic senatorial reception in DC. Don't ask me how. A friend brought me, and I was standing there dressed the most conservatively I've ever been in my life. And somebody says, "So what do you do?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm a voice actor." And you just saw everybody turn like, oh, it's a werewolf. You know?
Get it out. Get it out. I actually, just fun fact, JP told me not to say this, but I've gone through your clothes. And he said, wait, add the other part first. But I worked on Criminal Minds, and I made very good friends with the wardrobe department. And so they let me.
So did I meet you? Is that why I know your face?
You know what? I think we did. I think we met at the table read. And, but it was so great because they were like, we're just talking about like fashion design. That's my other huge like thing. And they let me just go and paw through all the clothes and just touch them. And I was just like, your wardrobe was, oh my God. And like, so I was like, that's why you want to be an actor. And then they handed me my grubby gray, like flannel bathrobe because I was going to play some like crying and dying mom. And they're like, please enjoy. And I was like, but wait, she gets really great cardigans and cute glasses, and this other girl gets like Gucci vintage and stuff, and velour. Oh
yeah, they fuck with you. That they fuck with people when you like all the clothes that Garcia wears. It was like they would take, because I'm a size 12, 13, sometimes 14. They would take like 6 of a size 0 and put it all together. Someone's asking, you can buy it at blinkingowldistillery.com and like sew them all together, but then someone can seize it and they're like, oh, I want to get that dress. Then you go to the store and you're like, oh, the biggest they make it is a size 6, so I guess it's not for me. It wasn't for me. They don't make clothes for normal people sometimes.
No, but I think there is a, well, we could talk about this all day and I won't, but I do feel like that would be so awesome to do a different sizes of the stuff that only comes in small sizes. It's also like the like little kids clothes. I want them for big people, and like to extend the size range, because you see all this cute stuff and it's all in like these like little teeny like sample sizes, and I'm like, no, actually there's a whole group of women, quite a massive amount of women who are like, I would actually like that at an 8 or a 10 or a 16, and they're like, not for you. So when you're done with your distillery, can we just go ahead and
we need to do that, because what they do is they take the sample size, and they just move it up, and the guys don't have this, and no offense to the men, but I think it's because you're just very straight. You're very straight. So they can just kind of do it all like it's like lines. But like women, like I have a gigantic back. Like my back is like, I think my back is bigger. I think I'm actually bigger. If you measured me from the back, I would be bigger than I am in the front. I think I've got a weird hexagon shape that there's nothing to be done about it. Just, yeah.
Well, and just women are just different. There's so many different options for sizing. It's boobs, it's hips, it's waist, it's butt, it's thighs, it's all the stuff.
We contain multitudes.
Guys are like, I'm just a 32. And I'm like, that's all? Just a 32, 24.
Not my ass, but carry on.
He's got a great ass. But anyway, so yes, in your free time, at some point, let's start a clothing line on top of that.
I'm in.
We're going to take some questions because I see that it is racking up to like 5,000 questions. So here, just circling back to the distillery, and then we'll get to some voting stuff. Which one of your drinks is your favorite that you make?
I actually came up with this with my friends because, again, it's like super exciting. I have all of my dear friends. There's like a group of like 9 of us, and we either went to high school together or college together, and we've known each other for a long time. So it's been really fun to like be like, hey, look, and we're all from Orange County, so it's fun to go to Santa Ana. So one night we were there after no one was around, and we had some aquavit, and someone was like, do you have pickle juice? So we got some pickle juice and some aquavit, and aquavit has cardamom, caraway, dill in it, so it's very herbaceous. A little bit of
It's literally, you were having like
it's fucking rye bread. Yeah. And a little bit of anise, but we use fennel, so it's not as licoricey.
Yeah.
And put some pickle juice in that and a pickle, and we call it a short beak, and it is a delight. It's like a little savory delight. I also just I like it on a rock. I like some bourbon on a rock or some orange vodka on a rock. I am an easy.
You're not messing with the mixers.
I was gonna say I'm an easy messy queen.
I
just
straight shot.
I just need some ice and some booze.
Yeah.
Don't we all?
Don't need to mess with.
That's right. Don't get all artisanal.
Get your addresses. Get your addresses for me after this, and I'll send you some.
Yeah, and then I'll move into your distillery later, and we'll sew clothes because apparently the clothing line is already taken off in the chat.
Done.
So let's talk a little bit about voting, because obviously you are outspoken about many, many things. Do you have a particular preferred form of voting? By mail, going to do you have a thing that you do with voting time?
In normal times.
Yes, in normal times.
Okay, in normal times. This is what I think. I think with things like this, I also think that this applies for breakups. I think this applies for when you sign a contract, whether it be for a new apartment or a job or a thing. You have to be in energetic alignment. You have to be consciously aware that you're participating, because we have to tell I have to tell all of my ages I've ever been, look at us. We're here, we're voting, we're participating in the world the way we want to see it, and we're being very conscious about it. Do I like to do that? I also like to, do I get the freaking handout from my handouts of choice, whether it be a really smart friend I have or a group that I believe their
mission?
I'm not going to be, I am socially and fiscally progressive. Although I think it's fascinating when people are fiscally conservative. I think that being socially conservative is some bullshit. There's some things that I can lax upon, but I think politically we should always only be talking about fiscally or conservative or progressive. That to me is what politics is about. Socially progressive should just come as, it should come with the car, right? It's like that should just be in there.
Standards.
Yes.
Factory standards.
I don't need to have a fucking conversation about being a human being. And that bothers me a lot, because I bet you anything there's a lot of really interesting tenets about fiscal conservatism that we don't dive into. I might not agree with them. I make a lot of money. I want them to take my money. I'm a public school kid. I think public school is fucking awesome. And I think Betsy DeVos is like Dolores Umbridge. So I don't approve of these behaviors. So I don't like it, because I like things like education and arts to be free. So I always make sure that those things, I like to pump money into things. So I like to look and see what pumps money into things, into people, and what makes it more difficult for large companies that have a lot of power and ease. Because people that have money have a lot of ease in their life, and they don't need more fucking ease to give you jobs. That's not how it works. So that's
trickle down is not a thing, y'all.
Nope, not a thing to me. Ain't a thing.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
It's pump that juice up.
It's such a great point too, because so often we have people in our chat that talk about either not being of age yet to vote or not being from here, and so they can't vote. But that's the wonderful thing, is that there's so many ways to make your voice heard. You can be too young to vote, but still call your representatives and say you're a pre-voter and that you want to make your voice heard because you will be voting in a year or 2 years or 5 years, right? You can protest in the streets if that's your jam. You can call your representatives, no matter if you're, if you live here, no matter if you vote, you can still talk to your representatives online, by phone, by letter. And then also put your money where your mouth is. I mean, I think it's amazing that, like, when push comes to shove, we could, certain parties could come up with $650 million in just a few weeks to support causes that they love, and
through tiny donations.
Tiny donations. So
and the other thing that I think, if you're too young, I'm seeing other people like, I'm too young. You know what your most important thing, and it's just it's a long game. It's not a one conversation, but grandparents, you got to get inside their minds and
get in their heads,
really talk to them about, like, you can't really say to them, hey, look, you're going to be dead soon and I got to live here, so stop being an asshole. Like, you don't have to say it like that, but you can be like, hey, do you know what? This is what I think. And they might push back, but it's just like adults are just like children, just like everybody. We hear all the things. So when you're speaking reasonably, even if they're pushing against it, they hear it in the back of their spine. They hear you. And so if you keep working on them, you keep spending time visiting and watching that Criminal Minds show that they enjoy so much with them. They do like to watch an episode again and again. And if you sit there and you're like, okay, Grandma, we'll watch it again. And I know you like that Shamar Moore guy. Like, if you do that with them, they'll eventually, and then you can point at me and say, Grandma, she votes like me.
That's right.
So don't be a dick.
That's right. And you can share your beliefs and share who you are and share what you love and give them a real life example, because they may think that they know anybody who's LGBT or who's come up from food stamps or whatever. Have conversations
I do believe
with everybody.
We're having a sea change. Did you guys see the governors of Utah, this ad they did? The two governors that are going against each other in Utah did an ad together, and they both are like, we approve this message and we see things differently, but we are not attacking each other's character. We just see things differently. And we think that I think you should vote for me. He thinks you should vote for him. But we both approve this message. And I was like, oh, it's so sexy and so interesting, because you can start having a conversation about, like, the finer points of why. Why should we do that? Oh, why? And you don't even have to have a conversation about decimating another human being. It's delicious to me that we're going toward that.
Yeah, and absolutely, that's important to find people that you can have those conversations with, because they're everywhere. Sorry,
they end the ad with both of them endorsing a certain respectful candidate for president.
They didn't do that, but I think it was implied, maybe. That's the nice thing, is that, it's just like a child, like, behaving badly that didn't get hugged a lot. You're like, oh, you like pooped on yourself and you just need to just be there and be sad. And I'm going to ignore you until you do behavior I want to see.
Yeah. Cry it out.
So I'm just going to ignore you until you do behavior I want to see.
So let's see. These are some questions, y'all. So that kind of answers the I'm under 18, so I can't vote. How can I help? Okay. Let's see.
Well, let me throw one out. Kirsten, so you're from California, born and raised. We have a lot of people in this state that think that their vote doesn't matter because, we all know the way that California goes. What do you say to people that are like, I don't know if it matters if
I'm gonna this is what I'm gonna tell you. You create, the outside is a reflection of your inside. If you don't participate and you don't say, I'm not creating responsibility and intention in the outside world, and then you wonder why your own dreams don't come true, and you wonder why things are just sort of like wishy-washy in your life. Well, I'll tell you from jump why, because you're deciding to live by default. And it does matter. It deeply matters. You're acting like it's like you're the wave and you're the ocean. You know what I mean? Like without the waves, without the drops of water, there's not an ocean. And it doesn't matter if what drop you are, it's you participating in the act of doing it. It's not the number. Who the fuck knows? Nobody knows who's going to win. Nobody even knows, like, when they do win, it's just a day, you guys. There's then the 4th of November comes after that. And then someday it's going to be December 23rd. Like, there's just going to be days and shit's going to happen. And it doesn't stop anything. So, like, you have to be intentional in every moment, not about the election, but about your choices. You want to, I think when people like say like it doesn't count, like you count. Why are you acting like you don't count? Right? What happened? Something happened. Did something happen?
I can't
hear you.
Oh wait, there you are.
There I am.
No, your sound just went out.
Oh.
So we missed all that beautiful knowledge that you just dropped. God damn it.
I think just because I'm watching on the other thing, I think everybody out there heard you. I think it was just us that missed it.
Okay. Oh, got it. Okay, good.
Her sound went
basically
off.
Like we just need to, intention matters. The choices you make matter for your life.
Yes, and
you can't tell me that someone who goes like, I'm not gonna vote, because that's what you're gonna sound like, by the way, to everybody else.
And the practice of voting is so important because it gets you into the habit, so that it's not just during the presidential elections. It's that you're voting at home, locally, you know, in your state, the senators, your governor. These are all super important things that affect different parts of your life.
That's right. You can't be the person who no one wants to. You don't, like, if I gave you the option of like, do you want soap for dinner or spaghetti? Like, make a fucking choice. Do you want to ride a lizard or a horse? Like, there are choices, and making choices, the more choices you make in life, the more intentional and specific things get. It doesn't mean you're being picky. You might not get your fucking way, but it just making a choice is important.
Yeah, it's huge. It's huge. And we just don't know how anything is going to go down. So especially during this election, just vote, do the thing.
Yeah.
You may think that, you know, in other times it didn't matter, but it may very well matter in this one. So
yeah,
just do the freaking thing and do it now, because
do it.
2 weeks
do it
away,
today.
13 days away from the election. It's so important to get your ballots back if you are voting by mail, guys. And people want to ride dragons, apparently, in the chat.
Who doesn't?
I want to ride the lizard. Yeah.
I'm gonna go with very large lizard.
See, make a choice.
That's right. That is right. So tell us a little bit about some of the, you know, you talked a little bit about putting your money where your mouth is. What are some of your favorite sort of charities and things that you support?
I have a lot of things I like a lot. I love the Unusual Suspects, which is a group in LA that they go into classes and they juvenile detention centers, and the kids talk about their life experiences, and they write stories about them and figure out how to display them. I know for me, that kind of creativity sort of saved me living. And that's not the point. The point is just to be able to express. Sometimes things are so bad, and it can be so much better just to write it down and to externalize it and to give yourself, be your own witness. And they're really good at that. And I love it. And I love it that they bring arts to schools that don't have it. So I love
Mm-hmm.
The Unusual Suspects. I love Project Angel Food, which is a local Los Angeles place, especially right now. There's a lot of food insecurity that people are having, and they go and help people with, it used to be AIDS patients, and now it is AIDS patients now that's been, managed completely in a different way than it was in the 90s when Project Angel Food started. They ended up spreading that out to people that are any kind of illness, terminal illness, and stuff. So they make sure that people in LA get fed. The LA Mission, I love Alex's Lemonade, which is a pediatric grassroots organization that helps research kids with cancer. This little girl, when she was 4 years old, started a lemonade stand. She had cancer. She wanted to raise money for the researchers. She transitioned to non-physical when she was about, I think, 7. The money she raised, the kids that were in the hospital with her are now in college because of the money she raised that helped the researchers. They've done some incredible things where, like, they've tricked, talk about nerdy stuff. They've tricked a girl's tumor into, they surrounded it with polio and then gave it a polio vaccine, tricked the tumor into thinking it was polio, and then shrunk the tumor. So I think they just do a lot of extraordinary things, and it's very life affirming and cool. And I love that charity a lot. I love the Jacaranda Foundation, which is a school in Malawi in Africa. That Malawi is a sister city of West Hollywood here. And one woman went in there when all of these children, because their AIDS is still, decimated the community still to this day, a lot of orphans from that, and started a school that has just helped that whole place thrive. And I love the ACLU. I love all the regular. There's a lot of great things. There's a lot of neat places to pay attention to. NPR.
Absolutely. And you can also do that with your vote. And one of the questions that we ask is, when you go into cast your ballot, who are you voting for? Not the party or the candidate, but who are you hoping that your vote will best affect?
Oh, I hope my vote will. We are only as powerful as the least privileged among us. Period. And we have some not privileged people in the world. I am very privileged. And I find that word, people are very sensitive about it and don't like it and get like, well, I'm not privileged. I mean, holy cannoli, when all this stuff started happening with the revolution, how triggering that is to people and their inner child of like, you don't know how bad I had it. Like, everybody's got it. Everybody's had it bad. I'm not trying to go give yourself a hug and go take care of that. That's not, but I am a very straight presenting, I'm a bisexual girl, but I'm a very straight presenting white girl, that's sort of typically feminine. I have a lot of privilege. I have a fancy job, like all that stuff. So like I have to do more work, I think, because I have more space to do it. And so my vote is for the people who don't have the kind of space that I have, because that's where life gets really sweet, is when we know that there's plenty for everybody, and I don't got to hoard my resources, my money, my luck. There's plenty. You can be rich and they can tax you. Like, it's fine. So like that's what I for like the LGBT kids, LGBTQIA++ kids, and for the BIPOC people, and for the people who don't have money and have health and food and insecurity, people who don't have the same power and privilege as I do.
Great. I love it. I mean, that's so important. And now too, I think we have to, what's been coming into the spotlight in just the last couple of days is also people with disabilities, because they are coming under fire medically.
Yeah.
And I can't say that I'm so educated on it that I know the backstory of it, but I'm certainly seeing a lot of very distressing news where
Yeah.
people with disabilities are now kind of getting pummeled. So, yeah, so important to, if you are in a position of power and privilege, to lobby for the people who are not. That means
Yeah.
men lobbying for women, straight people lobbying for the LGBTQ community. It's so important. I just can't underscore it enough that we are really lucky. We are
Yeah.
really freaking lucky.
Yeah. All of us, every single one of us that are on here, and even people that have less privilege than us, are really lucky. Look, we have the internet, and we can do this, and we can take breaths.
Yeah.
I mean, that we live in a world right now where even that's kind of up in arms.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. It's yeah. It's I want to just talk about this really briefly. Someone in the chat box said, "My family members think it's funny to vote for Trump." How can I get them to understand that people's lives are on the line?
Funny as in that they're doing it because it's funny.
Yeah,
like,
right.
Oh,
That's
okay.
So clarify in the chat if that's not correct, but I think
I think
they're
that's
sort of
probably.
taking it lightly.
I think that taking it too seriously is just going. How do I explain this? I think that going at them and being like, because I'm not saying I'm not. You have every right to have your experience, and I think I understand where you're coming from, and I agree with you. And I think they're trying. I think that you talking to them, if that's what they if that's what they think is amusing, you talking to them and expressing that is not going to alter that. So you have to do some other kind of pattern interrupt, and I don't know what that is. I don't know what that pattern interrupt is, but something that is kind and full of boundaries and clear and goes beyond November 3rd, because it's also their behavior before that. Like, to think to think a vote is flippant is cruel and ignorant and unfortunate. Their behavior is unfortunate, is so that there's like a stoicism as opposed to like playing the victim and saying they're hurting you. And I don't exactly know how to do that because none of us know your family, but I hope that makes sense. That would be my advice.
Yeah, I think that's great. Figuring out what it is that they're trying to trigger you by making light of it, or if they are really not understanding the importance of a vote, in which case you can talk a little bit about what we talked earlier, either by giving, personal experience or by explaining how voting works, in that it does matter. And you can, with a bunch of drops become the ocean. And so each action matters.
I also just thought if one of these people in your family has a certain kind of job or has a certain kind of deep respect for, let's say, the military, or a certain, like, has a deep respect for teachers or something like that, just go do a search, which there's plenty of op-eds and things of very smart people from all kinds of political affiliations that have very salient points about why he should probably not get another 4 years. So you can just, you don't need to, don't do, I think that's what I'm saying. You don't do work. They want you to work and put on some emotion. Don't do that. You go find someone who's going to word it out really well that they will respect, and print it out like a Luddite, because that's what I would do, and leave it out for them to see. And then they get
Put
to
it
make
on
their
the
own
fridge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was reading something today about how so much of politics has basically turned into the Super Bowl, where we root for our teams and we scream and holler about how we hate the other team and all of that. And I think the more that we engage in dialogue that cuts out the you versus me idea, no matter which party you're aligned with, or even if you're third party aligned, and focus more on what are the issues that we share commonality with and that we all care about. And, finding your vote funny is, as we were talking about, a place of privilege. It is a place of, this doesn't affect me. And being able to tie it back to, oh, but it does, and show the parts where it does affect me, and it affects me as your kid, and it affects the people around us. That's when it brings back the seriousness and the weight of what the vote actually means and stops it from being the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Nicely said. I love,
very good. Yeah.
I love that. So tonight there's a little debate happening, and in case you guys didn't know, it's the third presidential debate. But actually, before we get into this question, I just want to reiterate, if you're just joining us, this is Between Two Nerds. We're an offshoot of nerdsvote.com, and we are here with Kirsten Vangsness. Did I get it right?
That's
again?
me.
You
did it perfectly.
Yeah,
3 times. It's amazing.
And we're talking about voting. We're talking a little bit about booze. We're your sort of source for voter education and information, and also a lot of awesome interaction with some of our favorite notable nerds. So you can follow us on social media at NerdsVote across the board, and get even more. And so coming back to the question, tonight is the third and final presidential debate. I guess maybe it's really the second, because
like 2.5.
have the second one.
Yeah.
But Nora in the chat wanted to know, what do you want to see come from tonight's debate?
You know,
and if you're going to be watching.
I'm not sure. I gotta tell you, I don't think I'm the only female feminine bent person that had this experience, but like I'm still having a hard time. I go back to this moment so much, that debate between Hillary Clinton and 45, that he called her a nasty woman. And I remember it was like it hit me in it's such a weird thing, because as a woman, I ended up writing a play about this, because like as a woman, and as a feminine bent creature who tends to desire masculine bent people, I don't want to, non-binary masculine bent people. I'm not trying. I want to be very sensitive about this. I'm not trying to be, exclusive with my language. I'm just talking about my perception of that. As a feminine bent creature, there's something that hit me that felt very like, we spend all this time actually trying to be either called nasty in the good way, or we're afraid we are nasty in the bad way. And this fucking stranger that is gross called her a name, and it sounded like he called me that and my mother that, and that I know I am, and I'm ashamed and I'm upset. It was like so disorienting. And so when I watched the last debate that they had, all of those feelings came back up, and I had this very disorienting, which is really interesting, the power that I will take responsibility for that. I've really Voldemorted him, as you've noticed, because I have a hard time even acknowledging names and such. Yeah. But like I don't like, I'm very about fairness, and I don't like it when people can gaslight and they can use illogical, I don't like these logical fallacies, just rife with them. I feel like we should almost have to sit and watch a lecture about logical fallacies before we watch a debate, because it is so riddled with problems just in that you can't see. And I am just so triggered emotionally by this behavior. I'm very triggered by it, and I take responsibility for that. So when I watched it the last time, I paced around, I shadow boxed. There was a lot of shadow boxing, and I'm not a boxer. It just came out of me. There was a lot of like violent talking, a lot of violence came out of my mouth. And I think at one point I said, "You're not my dad." I think I screamed that at the TV. I think I screamed, "You work for me," about 10 times. So if I'm going to watch, it's a real participatory thing that takes a lot out of me. but I really want to know the facts. So it's very difficult. I want someone reasonable. I just want someone super reasonable. I want like Nina Totenberg to just be like off on the side and be like, these are the things they're saying, you know,
In
so
her
I can just read it.
soothing voice.
Yeah. Cause it's just too seductive. The language, the languaging, the posturing, it's meant to do something. And I'm very sensitive. And even when it's not working, I don't like the attempt. I don't like the attempt. And I don't like that there are people that like that attempt. It makes me very angry that there are people that think it's okay to use intimidation to get what they want because they're too afraid that if the patriarchy falls or we have a little more balance in the world, that they're not going to have enough crayons. It just makes me crazy.
Yeah.
So that's how I feel about the debate.
Yeah. And there's somebody in the chat that mentioned third party. And I just wanted to address that because we get that a lot.
We don't have a real third party right now.
First of all, go ahead.
I just don't think we have a real third party.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, I would welcome to have them on the stage. I would welcome them to be able to gain traction and to be able to be viable. But unfortunately, we haven't had a viable third party candidate since Ross Perot. And that's because he was a billionaire. So, I am all for, like, we talk about all the time how a two-party system doesn't serve our country, but you have to start on day one after the election to
November 4th.
parties in your community, locally, statewide, and start to build the groundswell that creates that national figure that we start to vote for. Because
yes,
Dr. Ferguson, like, I don't have a huge problem with her. I think she's a very cool person. But unfortunately, she's not a valid candidate right now.
And we need to think more about voting, not just about casting your vote and then walking away for 3 years and 364 days. It is all about like creating the reality that we want, right? So if we want a third party candidate, then that goes beyond voting for that third party candidate every 4 years. You have to craft something. You have to, even if your dude in this election wins, it doesn't matter. Your work is not done. You have to stay in communication with your reps and like cheer them, give them attaboys, attagirls when they need it, and tell them, hey man, I voted for you and you're not putting in place the policies that I voted for.
And here's the thing, like,
it's
I'm
a relationship.
And you get to vote for whoever you want. Like, if it's if you're in alignment with whatever you're in alignment with, vote for that. You know, like, that's okay. But it's all about what you're in alignment with.
Right. But just, that's the thing is like with any person that you're voting for, it is a relationship that does not start, does not stop after you go out to dinner with them. It is, you call them the next morning, you check in with them, you continue to date, you get exclusive, you stay in communication. And now with social media, it's so easy. It's so easy just to put your reps' phone numbers in your cell phone, put them on speed dial, and call and tell them when you like it. I
use 5 calls, which it's super easy. Just a button. You don't even have to have them in your phone. It's just right in there.
Yeah, and that way, I think what JP is really touching on is just that relationship that doesn't stop when you cast your vote. It is about steering this country every day. Every day.
I'm doing this. I do this show called Kirsten's Agenda, and I've had Kati Petrie Norris on, who's a state rep, and I just had Alan Lowenthal on, who's a representative of our state for the national. And they were even saying it's not about your constituents agreeing with every single thing. No one's going to agree with every single thing, but it is important. I voted for Dianne Feinstein. I did not like her behavior.
Yeah.
I'm pissed now. And I had to call her and be like, not okay. We have to do that. That's our job. They work for us. They work for you. And you can't sit around. The whole reason why we get to just live our fucking lives is because these people have agreed to do public service. Like, so we deserve to spend, 10 minutes a week, like, checking on them and shit.
it's like being an actor. If you reached out to your agent, who's supposed to represent you every, I don't know, every month, every 6 months, every couple of years, and you were mad that the jobs that you were getting weren't great, or you weren't getting any jobs,
Right.
that would be on you. And the same thing
Right.
works with this. You have to let people, you really have to let people know, and you have to craft that this country the way you want it to be. We have to participate. It's so important.
Yeah.
It's so
Yeah.
important.
Yeah. Because they don't, now that they're seeing that we're, everybody straightens right up.
Yeah, it's accountability. And the thing is if you don't show up to make a decision on the regular, someone will decide for you. And I always am like amazed by, my parents are not from here. And there's this whole American thing about like, we're renegades and we run things the way we want to. And, nobody tells us what to do. And then like half the country doesn't show up to vote. And so someone is totally telling you what to do that you didn't have any agency in. So, Australia you have to vote. You're required or you get fined. We have the freedom to just do it. So let's just do it. Let's just do it. And do it now. So I want to make sure that we are mindful of the time because
Instagram kicks us off after an hour.
Right. That is correct.
Well, before we can't let you go without talking about Voyage to the Stars.
Yes,
that's right.
On that podcast,
I am on a improvised space podcast. Talk about Nerd Town, USA, and it is the amazing Janet Varney, who's from Legends of Korra, among other things. The amazing Felicia Day. Come on,
awesome.
The Guild. And all the things. Steve Berg, I forgot the boys for a second. Steve Berg, who's just fantastic and so many things from Drunk History and The Good Place and all kinds of just a gem. And Colton Dunn from Superstore and a bunch of other things. They are improv geniuses.
Been on the show.
Yes. We have a lot of your nerds on our nerd show as well.
Yeah. And we get all these amazing guests and they're so talented at this improv stuff. And I play the lesbian space fox cat that's in love with Felicia's character most of the time. In love with her. And it was a real honor to get it. And then you have this moment where you're like, this is such a cool part. And I'm only bisexual. And I felt bad. Like, I felt like I needed to go down on a bunch of girls, like, immediately when I got this part. It's hard work.
Research.
Has to do it.
That's right. You are a method actress.
But it's just really, it's a real joy. I highly recommend everybody check it out. We improvise the entire thing. It's written out. Ryan Koppel is the creator, and then he writes out these things, and then we just riff on them. And it's really something else. You can find it on all of the platforms in which you find podcasts. And we're just about to start season 3.
Awesome. And you have a comic book.
Wait, what?
You have a comic book.
Well, oh yeah, we have comic books. We have a couple now. And we have
so much nerd cred. I just want to say, like,
so much.
Tick, tick,
oh my
tick,
God.
tick, tick.
Oh yeah. I do tick the boxes off. It's not just the astigmatism. It's a lot of other
You
stuff.
know what? If you guys get Pop Funkos, we're done here. We are done here. I want to circle back really briefly. Just so many people in the comments and questions have talked about voter resources. So I just want to underscore that one more time. To find out, if you don't know how to vote, you can hit up places like nerdsvote.com, where we have extensive information on our website. If you are concerned or curious to find out more so that you can cast an educated ballot, an educated vote, I am so excited to hear that. You can figure out who you're in alignment with, or if you're part of the LGBTQ community. If you are a woman, there are resources like League of Women Voters. There are LGBTQ publications. the LA Weekly, the SF Weekly, many different.
I really like to do that. I like to cross-reference, because of my political affiliations. What I do is I like to go to like an Indivisible site in where I am, where I live, and I cross-reference that with a newspaper I like.
Yes,
that's what I've done, and I found that worked.
Yeah, and there's something that we. Sorry, go ahead.
Go to our on our website. We have a ballot party guide for anybody who wants to go through their ballot with some friends to research and kind of make the overwhelming go away by dividing up the work. But also, even if you're not going to throw a party, at the back of that guide, we have a whole list of sites where you can start to do some research and start drilling down into finding out who your candidates are and also what your referendums or ballot measures or propositions that might be on your ballot, what they mean.
Yes, we also have that handy dandy ballot ready. Ballot ready.
Awesome. Yeah.
So make sure you can keep that in your phone with you, and it'll break down all of the candidates for almost all of the country now at this point, right? JP, they're.
Yeah. If you visit ballotready.org, they will break down all the candidates and referendums on your ballot and start to give you some basic research that you can kind of drill down from there. And we have a whole list of sites on our ballot party guide that will help you to get down further into what candidates have said, what they stand for, how they vote, all that.
And you can also, even though it's COVID, you can still have the party. Just have it on Zoom. Everybody get a cocktail if you're of age, or an apple juice or whatever, and make sure that. Well, I like apple juice. Unfiltered. Exactly, because you're celebrating. And go ahead and divvy up the work between you and your friends. You don't have to get to a consensus. You just have to break down so that everybody is not replicating each other's efforts. Then you have this wealth of information that you've all come to together. You can all make your own decisions, pop that ballot into the mail, drop it off in a box, do however you're going to do it, and then celebrate. Like, let's start making this civic opportunity instead of civic duty, and, make it a chance to get together with your friends in person safely or online, and your family, and have a nice meal together and celebrate the fact that you are steering your country.
That's right. That's right. We're going
to get kicked off. We're going to get kicked off.
Pleasure.
So here's the thing. We always have our guests sign off as one of their characters, just encouraging our viewers to vote, to get out there. And you can sign off as yourself. You can sign off as your lesbian space fox cat.
Okay, I'm gonna mix it up. I'm gonna do a little Nico, and then I'm gonna do the other one. So that would be Nico saying, because that's what Nico does. So that's Nico from Voyage to the Stars. And she would be like, baby girl coming out hot right at you, saying goodbye.
Make sure you guys vote. Thank you so much for hanging around with us for this episode of Between Two Nerds. I am Courtenay Taylor.
I'm JP Karliak.
I'm Kirsten Vangsness.
Thank you. It just took a couple of rehearsals. It's no big deal. Mwah. We'll see you guys on Thursday.
Bye, you guys. Thank you. Nice to meet you.
Tuesday at 6.
Great.
See you then.
Can't wait to come to your distillery when things are good.
Yes, we'll be in touch.
You got to do it. You got to do it. Send me your addresses.
Absolutely. Blinking out,
Bye,
guys. Check it. Bye.